First, it is worth looking at the current state of overcrowding on our railways, in particular those serving our major cities. Using DfT statistics, it is possible to attain the percentage of available seats on services running at peak and off-peak times in the major English and Welsh cities. Scotland is excluded from this data for devolution reasons. In turn, it is possible to list those cities that have the most acute overcrowding conditions versus those with spare capacity, giving us a rough guide of cities where investment ought to be prioritised. And so we have two maps, the green and the orange maps. The green map shows all-day off-peak available seats as a percentage of the total number of seats available throughout the day outside of peak time. So that's including those lightly used early and late trains. We'll talk about that in a minute. And the orange map shows AM and PM peak available seats. Not everywhere has a PM peak, but the AM and PM peak available seats as a percentage of the seats available during peak hours, whether that's just AM or if it's both AM and PM. From this, we get a pretty clear picture of, you can see across both, well, London here at peak time has negative 2% available seats. You can see, at peak time, Birmingham also severe pressures, Leeds severe pressures. We'll show these in a table momentarily. You see the picture is perhaps a little rosier during off-peak periods. But we'll talk about these. The numbers that we've looked at here should not be misinterpreted. The apparently high seat availability for off-peak periods include those services at the start and the end of the day that are invaluable for connecting travellers but don't add much to daily passenger figures. Similarly, 50% spare capacity means half of seats are free, which can be enough to trigger standing passengers on some services. From this data, tabulated here, the most congested cities across both peak and off-peak are London, which might be pretty obvious, Sheffield, Birmingham, Leicester, and Leeds. This should surprise nobody. The eastern leg of High Speed 2 was designed to release capacity for more local and regional services into these cities, and its cancellation has locked in capacity problems with no plans for improvement. This makes the shrinking timetable on the Midland Main Line even more insulting for passengers, or indeed ex-passengers, along that route, for whom the promise of high-speed rail and electrification had already been reversed. So let's dig into these numbers. So, at the top of the list, we've got London, priority ranking number 1, of course, fine. You've then, as we've talked about, you've got Sheffield, Birmingham, Leicester, Leeds here, kind of up to 5th in terms of the rankings. And yes, that is the Midlands and the East Midlands particularly. That is HS2 Eastern Leg territory. Next, you've got, in terms of priority, Newcastle, Reading, Liverpool and Manchester. So some of those sort of, you've got Newcastle and Reading, Liverpool, Manchester, Nottingham here. Those stations that, Nottingham, Bristol, it's saying Worth are pretty similar. Those large cities that fall out of this, out of these stats, I would say, are Brighton, Cardiff and Cambridge, that don't see the same levels of overcrowding. Brighton and Cambridge notably have very long trains because they're at either ends of the London suburban railway network. Cardiff does benefit from a serious number of of seats into city seats coming through the city. It also has an expanding suburban network that is seeing expansion and seeing potentially a little bit of a lag on the uptake of those. So Brighton, Cardiff, Cambridge down here faring far better. However, the latest version of these statistics is from 2024, when passenger usage was around 70 to 80% of where it is today. The figures can be adjusted upwards accordingly, only painting a more chronic picture of capacity limitations.